I'm very excited in that years ago, my brother, my younger brother, who is a physical android, emotional, tough, focused, disciplined man, used to spend a lot of time on a bike. He would do road biking. He did some velodrome stuff. I think if he'd started younger, he would have ended up in some very, very elite, up to the Olympic level of sport in that sport. He probably could have done that with about 5 different sports. He's got one of the best cardiovascular systems and toughness systems I've ever seen, but he spent a lot of time on the bike. So when the Tour de France would come around in the era of Lance Armstrong and Jan Ullrich and all those kind of great luminaries when I was young, which of course have been sort of tarnished and strangely discussed because of all the the doping and the scandal, although it sounds like everybody was doing it. It's a very, very weird subject to try and dig into, so I'll put no time into it. But we used to watch the Tour a lot more. I'd kind of get the daily recaps, and I'd actually watch a little bit more of it, because I think some of the level of suffering you'll see in that sport is almost unequaled. I mean, that ability I'm not built to be to be a bike rider. I'm a big dude, and all those guys are like hummingbirds with powerful legs and great oxygen transfer systems. But the suffering you can see on their face, the ability to break someone else's will in those competitions, it's right up the alley of the type of sport I like and that my brother likes. And so we spent a lot of time watching that. I think in the years post kind of the scandal, I've gotten away from it, not watched it as much, but I think the Tour is kind of coming back. And then the neat thing is, I think one of the big, YouTuber, Netflix, somebody's done a series now on the Tour. And the thing that's wonderful about it is it's a big ask to watch the whole Tour. Like it's a lot of riding. It's a lot of time for them in the saddle and to pay attention to. So highlights are actually sort of the best way to get it. This series that has, I think, only two series now, or two Tour years captured. I hope they keep going with it. It's just an awesome way to, watch the Tour. You get highlights of the races, deep dives into the different performers and so on. But so I was watching it recently, and I can't actually remember the rider who did it, but it's actually almost every rider. If you don't understand the Tour, this race goes over, some 20 days, something like that. I'm going to butcher it. Somebody's going to fillet me in the comments. All good. Whatever it takes, 18, 20 days, some out of that Tour. Each day is what's called a stage. And so there's flat stage, there's, mountain stages were some of the most exciting. There's time trials. So there's a lot of different systems. It's a tactical game. Obviously, it's a physical game. But every stage, you might not win the entire Tour. You could actually not win a stage and win the entire Tour. But every stage, there's a competition to who gets the finish line first. And if you win the Tour, the stage of that Tour, you get to be on camera. Of course, you're the stage winner for that day. You're going to get an extra interview, and it is what it is. Winning a Tour stage is no joke. Most people that will race that race will never see a stage win. There's a bunch of people that are obviously stacked up lots of stage wins. There's a bunch of people that have stacked up stage wins and never won the Tour. So it's a unique sport. But I remember watching recently one of the young competitors as I was watching the most recent Tour, and I'm embarrassed, I can't remember his name, but he wins a stage. It's his first stage. He really gave, obviously, max level to almost destroy himself to win it. And when he walks over to kind of the tent to get the interview, when they ask him questions about it, boom, brings him straight to tears. He can hardly talk. I'm getting choked up just thinking of him in my mind, knowing a little bit about that feeling. What it made me think is kind of that, having things in our lives that we put so much energy and focus and drive into, that when you either reach a success point or you're able to execute on that which you've put a lot of energy into, that it brings you to tears. I think there's something very unique going on there. I think it's just the most human, experience, because I think that the emotion that's coming out is that duality in life, that good versus evil, that light and dark, and you can't have joy without sadness and love without hate, all these things that are kind of counter opposed but live together. I really think when you see somebody that's choked up and can't even talk about this win or this achievement, it is a little bit of everything hitting at once. I mean, I think if if your kid asked you what's happening, you just say, "Oh, I'm happy. That's why I know it's coming out as tears, but I'm happy." It's not that only. It's you are happy. There's joy. There's also sadness that it's over. There's almost hate and regret and energy of what you had to do and most likely sacrifice to get to that level of achievement. And so all these things hit at once and then just blast into this moment where it just comes out with tremendous emotion. I share this story because I think it's glorious to watch when I see it. There have been a few things I've been able to do in my life where I was moved to tears. I mean, I'm quickly moved to tears when I talk about the things I'm passionate about, but I've had physical experiences to win championships, get through SEAL training, to do, functionally well and succeed in combat, whatever that means, that it did move me to tears. And I would just say, find something you can sink your teeth into, put so much effort to, that when it ends or you get to where you want to be, you're almost sad, mad, and happy that you got there. Ever onward.